Who's going to count them in? Who's keeping the time?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Canary Wharf. This is the train to Paddington. Next station, Whitechapel.
Okay everyone, so we're going to go through the three aims: analysing the project, the Elizabeth line, analysing the teams and the contractors that were involved, and then analysing Group 5 dynamics. We started the presentation looking at the language and the way that Transport for London were guiding the design of the Elizabeth line. So mimicking the colour palette, the typeface, and how their brochures for the Elizabeth line looked as well.
Okay, so a brief timeline of the events of the Elizabeth line. It took 32 years from the start of the project to the line becoming fully operational, starting from 1990 to November 2022. There were some delays because of the pandemic and budget issues and a lot of issues that usual projects have. There are 200 million annual passengers in this line and 700,000 passengers every single day. The project cost about 18.8 billion, which is 4 billion over budget, the initial budget, yeah. There are 41 stations in the line. The line connects London from Reading and Heathrow to Shenfield and Abbey Wood. This line ended up reducing commuter travel to these areas by 30 minutes, so it's very much more convenient and much more accessible to a lot of commuters and locals. Different stations offer different features, but most share the common features of being more accessible through lifts and platforms, platform extensions over headline equipment, improved both locals and commuters, upgraded ticket halls, significant increase in prices like in places like Brentwood, increase in property prices, which all of this means a higher quality of living in the areas around the stations of the Elizabeth line. It had a great impact on the London quality of life. It's highly convenient because it enabled the addition of 1.5 million workers in the commuter network of the city. There was 10% additional rail capacity, and for every pound that was made, there was 1.97 pounds profit, pure profit of Crossrail and the government making out of this line. There are almost 14 million car journeys removed, which removes cutting roads and pollution. It's very arguable that the Elizabeth line produced a greater quality of life. There was an increase in population from the creation of the Elizabeth line due to expansion of the main city and all that. There was over 60 and to 100,000 homes built in stations in this vicinity of the stations, and there was way more landscaping around the areas, which caused more biodiversity, therefore cleaner cities.
So the next thing to talk about is the design strategy, the procurement method, and then the construction strategies. So we've got the tunnelled sections, so the 10 core stations in central London, which occupied 42 kilometres of tunnels. These were all brand new, and the materiality used was sprayed concrete. All of the cement and concrete used for Crossrail was 62% recycled, also improving the sustainability of the project. The 10 core stations were done by 9 architectural firms, and they were permitted to give a local identity to the surface stations, but as we moved down the escalators, past the ticket hall and into the tunnelled sections, this was all following Grimshaw Architects' line-wide design, and so that's all the where the sprayed concrete was. they didn't like the aesthetic of this as leaving it as a raw surface, and so that's why we end up with the white panels lining all of the tunnels. Then we've got the procurement strategy was design and build, and so we start. I've made a kind of a rebirth plan of work with the main roles, and so we start with the government, with the Department for Transport, then Transport for London as the lead clients, and then we all the way through almost we've got consultants looking at where's safe to build, where's the ideal route, health and safety, and then we have the architect, project manager, and then only by steps 4, 5 and 6 are we then seeing contractors and subcontractors coming in once the designs are finalised, and then going out to tender work with people, with firms and contractors applying.
The project was very collaborative, with over 100 contracts which were valued at over £50 million. There were a total of 9 architect firms that designed the 10 central London stations. The Crosswell Ltd is a company created to design and deliver the Crosswell project. The goals are to achieve customer satisfaction by being accessible to all. The project's priorities were to increase economic growth and deliver the highest quality standards. The project procurement plan was based around the 6-pillar approach, managing risks early in the process and promoting efficiency in the production process. This approach allowed a reduction in the procurement team size by 30%, while delivering the same outputs with an emphasis on quality over time. I think it's frozen.
So the presentation's held at a red light.
Yeah.
Okay. What you gonna do?
Well, it's like the real Elizabeth line was. Yeah. So there's lots of. We'll start again.
That's why you don't have transition. I get my 15 ball ready. £15
3 minutes and £1.
for the meal after this. I'm feeling like Slim Chip.
This page explores the success and failures that the Elizabeth line went through, with one person dying in 2014 and 2 more accidents happening just a year later. However, these accidents happened in the early stages of the project, allowing for the teams to learn from their mistakes. The benefits of the Elizabeth line outweigh the negatives, making travel time in London much shorter and boosting local and previously disconnected areas. The Elizabeth line has been and will continue to be influential in the future. It's been able to cut down commuting times, creating better integration with areas in the city. The project has boosted the UK economy by £42 billion. The future of the line is expected to last 120 years, with components designed to be replaced as technology evolves.
To start, Team 5, we distribute our team into roles using a random name generator, ensuring fairness and efficiency. Then we all signed a team contract which outlined clear rules and agreements. This contract established our codes of conduct, set expectations, and provided accountability. To guide us, we researched basic team management principles, including Belbin team roles, to assign responsibilities that match individual strengths. The pie charts show how decision making was made through groups voting and ensuring every voice was heard. To reflect on what went well within our group, we excelled in finding sources, setting meeting schedules, and reaching agreements. The word cloud at the bottom shows the key lessons and successes in bigger font like attendance and communication, which we prioritized as they directly impacted our grade. To streamline our work, we divided up into subgroups to specific tasks to actively work on our project. As a group, we learned the valuable skills like teamwork, organization, and effective communication. Setting clear tasks and deadlines helped us to stay on track. Additionally, the Elizabeth Line project inspired us to take a professional approach on team management. In each meeting, highlighted in purple shows us how jobs were similar to their roles. The blue highlight our approaches, and grey show us interpreting Elizabeth's approaches in our team meetings. In our first meeting, we established a contract that we all signed and allocated tasks. We also talked about grades, which can be interpreted as the Elizabeth line, talking about the financing with money. And in the final meeting, we prioritized to ensure every detail was completely coordinated, just as the Elizabeth line team working together. This taught us how to apply real-world project management to our own team, improving both procedure and outcomes. And then here's our list of references.
Where this train terminates. If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to staff or text British Transport Police on 61016. We'll sort it. See it, say it, sorted.
Question.
Yes, Richard. So I have two. One would be about some of the criticisms you think you have of the Elizabeth line in general. I mean, I know that it has won a Stirling Prize. We also can also talk about that as well. But I also want to say about how did you kind of handle any sort of challenges during the group kind of organisation? How did you handle kind of the contract as well?
So the first one is like a challenge, maybe something that's not good about the Elizabeth line. And so this is kind of relevant to our triangle strategy, which is there. And so myself and Maritza, we went to the REBA Stirling Prize Winners Talk, where that's where we met Grimshaw Architects, Atkins Realis, Maynard and Equation. So they were the four key firms that did the whole line-wide design work. And so we were able to talk to them. I mean, a thing that was mentioned most was the budget. Of course, we were using taxpayers' money, but also 60% of all the financing for the project was from London and London businesses. So London taxpayers and London businesses is what they claim. And then the rest from central government and private businesses. And so this was where the design and build procurement strategy didn't really make sense with what the outcome was. So I understand they wanted design and build because they wanted to control the quality and the cost, but actually the quality was very good, and normally you don't get that in design and build, right? Because time and cost is more important. And so to come with a design that wins the Stirling Prize was clearly showing that actually quality was highly prioritised. And so, I mean, the budget was a problem, but really it wasn't, because it's created infrastructure which has already created £42 billion worth of economic growth. And then regarding making our contract, I mean, maybe the same as the rest of you, just on the first meeting, trying to set out rules to guide our teamwork. I mean, we were the same in the sense that we assigned the Belbin roles after the project was complete, because it was a better way of understanding, well, what did each person contribute and what was their strengths. I think the Belbin roles as a theory is just something that that's the kind of way of proving that these different roles exist, rather than assigning people it, right? We were just fortunate that everyone did kind of fit into one of those, and of course some people fit into multiple roles, right? Yeah, does that answer your question?
Did you also talk about the contract?
Yeah, oh yeah, so making the contract. So at the beginning, what we did is, because our group was quite large, we split the grade into 7% each, with a 9% spare at the beginning. And so then throughout the project and by the end, we could see, okay, well, what should be done with that 9%? Was there people that performed any better, or should it be equally split? And then that's what leads to our last, our pie graph at the very bottom was then us coming in our last meeting, quite a big debate about what was best, and then us anonymously voting based on the final grade. Yes.
How did Crossrail appease people above ground who their work might have damaged their buildings, for instance? I remember there being a church, I think it was, that had their plaster cracked by Crossrail.
I mean, as well as even near Paddington, private residences, their garden, their whole private garden was dug a tunnel, 40 metres deep. So I think the first thing that when they started this process in 1990, and then Crossrail became debated in Parliament in 2001, and it became an actual company, that's when they began the land acquisition. And so a lot of the budget was going on land acquisition and compensation to residents. I suppose if you buy the land, you don't have to worry so much about upsetting people on the land, right? But yeah, there was lots of, they passed lots of new laws in Parliament to kind of fit around and mould around this project.
Also, this took 7 years. Land acquisitions took 7 years. So it was a very lengthy, exhausting process for the people working this process and the people on the receiving end. So yeah, it was compensated.
Richard?
I want to say also, I was wondering what you think, who had benefited best from this initial project?
Well, I think the immediate benefactors are the people at new stations that there weren't a station there before, right? So if you look at the extremities in the east and the west, so looking at Abbey Wood, Shenfield and then Reading, these are communities that it would take an hour and a half, 2 hours to get into London. Well, they just wouldn't, right? And so to have these new arteries that are really fast, really modern, have benefited the most. But actually I think the entire of London, you know, as I showed before, increasing all of rail capacity by 10% in Greater London, there's a huge stress relief on other lines. And also, I don't know if you've seen in the news, Sydney Metro just opened up a new metro line, and they've used a lot of the contractors and lead designers that were used on the Elizabeth line. And so we included in the report, the Sydney Metro looks the exact same as the Elizabeth line. So clearly it's been influential, and when we went to the tour, the Elizabeth line designers, they were saying that they looked around the world at best practice, and so it's quite a full cycle. Now the Elizabeth line is the best practice for the world to look at how we did it. Right? Is anyone else? Yes.
Yeah. In terms of delays and integrations, how was construction delays managed while ensuring seamless integration of the Elizabeth line stations while existing networks challenging sites like Iceland?
So, I mean, this was a big problem for the final 3 years, right? So that's why you ended up with, when the line was first inaugurated by the Queen, it was not actually one full line. First, it started as 3 components, 3 different lines, operated by different people. And so you'd have a Liverpool Street to Shenfield overground line operating, and then between Liverpool Street and Paddington another line, and then Paddington to Reading another line. And because they were all operating on different signalling systems. And so, and Bond Street as well was delayed, and so trains for the first 6 months didn't stop at Bond Street either. And so, I think the answer to the question is they were monitoring it in the sense that they were trying their best to try and get revenue for something that was over budget, whilst not providing the full service yet, providing a service as best as possible. I mean, for the first year, you had to change trains at Paddington. You couldn't go all the way through. Yeah. But of course, like most of our projects, they all had to go through Brexit, through COVID. A lot of the regulations that were applied to Crossrail were EU regulations, and so perhaps if Crossrail was initiated after Brexit, would those regulations be the same? And of course, the workforce employees required to build. Yeah. All good.
Okay, thank you.